Welcome, travelers and seekers of tales and amusement. It is I, the Lunar Skald, here to regale you tales of absolute entertainment and to provide some of the steamiest drama, or whatever it is that I can find. Here in this, I am going to be regaling you tales from a hobby of mine of which I enjoy, known as D&D, and along the way, probably a few other tabletop games that we might come across. So, I am a huge fan of Dungeons & Dragons, and I have watched a few RPG horror story YouTubers, such as Den of the Drake, Critical Cunic, Crick Crab, Bear Bard, and a few others to talk about. But we are not here to talk about them. We are here to talk about other things, stories, and tales of RPG horror stories. Now, before we begin, I would like to mention that I do plan on doing some other things, but I don't know if it'll really mesh together very well. I know that the first video I have is me reading the first chapter of Miyamoto Musashi's Book of the Five Rings, but I don't really know how long that'll be going. I may plan on doing other stories. I have 2 other books after the Book of the Five Rings as well, but I'm wondering what other kinds of serious stories I could do as well. But I will leave that up to you and your opinions and comments down below. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start on our first of these RPG horror stories. So the first story is called Horrific Application to Play in an Online Game by user PinkD20. I'm running an online-themed D&D game in the Kara-Tur, Asian-inspired setting where the characters are monster hunters. We played from level 1 to 14 over 76 sessions. As a GM of over 45 years, this is a special campaign for me. I've worked hard to make it special, my magnum opus of campaigns. I am constantly gathering feedback from my players and making it better as we go. We're planning on playing through to level 20. The setting, theme, and all the rules are explained in the LFG post so players understand what the game is about, and why the rules are set up the way they are. The game includes lots of options, 11 races, 3 of which are custom to the setting, 23 classes, 9 of which are custom to the setting, and custom monster backgrounds, a little bit of a misread, with 26 different flavors of monster hunters, each granting special abilities and knowledge. I allow up to 3 feats, 1 from 3 categories: offensive, defensive, and utility. No multi-classing, mainly because the custom content is not yet balanced for multi-classing. We used standard array with the additional honor ability score. I use optional actions, have an add-on system for alchemy, have pages of custom magic items, have custom exotic weapons with custom weapon properties tied to the setting, and grant additional capabilities learned through downtime. I have only disallowed classes, subclasses, and spells that don't fit into the setting, Kara-Tur, or theme, monster hunting. This was the latest application to my game. Sorry for the hideous formatting, this is how they posted it. So I read through your house rules and character creation rules, and I've come to the conclusion that you hate player choice and player freedom. Now, to give credit where credit is due, some of your rules and character creation guidelines are interesting and fun, but you set so many restrictions and limit what players can do with their character. First off, the only people I've known to strictly do standard array are control freaks that are afraid of having a bit of unpredictability and randomness in their games, which is almost all the fun of D&D. Secondly, you restrict so many officially released books and limit what kind of feats a player could take, which removes a lot of player choice. I was going to apply as a way of Mercy Monk, but I don't like playing spellcasters. Oh, I see how it is, bitch. But I also wanted to heal, and I was gonna grab the skilled feat so I could get proficiency with the herbalism kit, alchemist supplies, and cook's utensils to make a kind of jovial medicine man, but you restricted that for reasons I can't figure out, because it's a martial class that can heal. I wanted to go for the hermit background and roleplay as a kind older monk from a monastery who wanted to help monster hunters with his herbal remedies and ki-based healing, and not be a combat-focused character, but support and assisting the party by giving them potions and salves, because he's not a trained monster hunter. He's a monk, but he still wants to help out, but I can't do that because you decided what I want to do with my character more than I know what I want to do with him. And lastly, you seem like someone that'll railroad and convince someone to something specific to fit your vision, and that isn't what D&D is about. You gotta let players have some freedom. Yes, there are mistakes, but mistakes can create really fun moments. I'm sorry if I've come off as a whiny or entitled, self-absorbed, narcissistic bitch, but that is why I am typing this up. I want to know your reasons for these restrictions and limitations. If you could answer this question, then I'll gladly shut my trap and let you do you. It's just a genuine question from someone that has enjoyed playing D&D 5e for 7 years and has tried various ideas to varying success. I enjoy the vast freedom this game allows for, and it bothers me to see so many restrictions in what is supposed to be a game based around choices and imagination. And see. Wow, okay, yeah, that is definitely quite a application. I wonder if that's how they do their work applications, because I can already tell that the bosses are not going to be impressed with something like this. But what are my thoughts? So let's see where we can start off from here. So according to the OP, they basically have a few restrictions set up based on the custom setting, because he has yet to be able to fully balance everything out. So there are ways where multi-classing can happen, it's just there's some restrictions to what can be multi-classed. Now, I do understand the idea that people do need their choice and their freedom when it comes to their character creation, and that it's nice to be able to have all of these amazing options that you can use. But the DM is also important in being able to balance the game so that it isn't too easy, because imagine having something that is completely over the top, overpowered, and there is absolutely no risk at all because all of this multi-classing or whatever you do is just too powerful. There's importance to having challenge, but at the same time, the person that OP is talking about doesn't really seem to get the idea. I don't know if OP has told the person in question if there was some balancing issues with some of the classes, but considering that this was, and I'm probably certain that maybe OP did have this as a part of the information for the campaign. However, it doesn't seem like this person has actually taken that into account and just thought, oh, you want to restrict me from multi-classing, I see how it is, you are a horrible person, I'm going to write out a long application just to inconvenience you, and also myself, because I am privileged. So I don't even know what this person was thinking. I don't know why they would write this kind of application. They clearly decided to take time out of themselves and the OP, and if you didn't like the campaign or some of the ideas about it, then you don't have to play it. You don't even have to apply. Just find a campaign that you like and go with that. But I really don't see why they decided to take their time just to write a really long application that basically boils down to, I'm not going to join your campaign because it feels it restricts me, even though I know the reasons as to why you put the restrictions in the first place. But all in all, this person is just incredibly entitled and tiring, so, yeah, that was, definitely, something there. This next tale, however, is something that I'm sure will be far more entertaining based off the title alone. And it is called A Song of Toasts and Anime. Yeah, I think you could see why I might have decided to leave this for last. And it was posted by user IQFrame, oh no wait, I'm sorry, IOFrame. Okay, I got confused there, sorry. Hey, r/RPG horror stories. I've been a reader on this sub for quite a few years, and for this last year, have even been listening to certain crabs and dragons narrating stories from here. Oh hey, so have I, although, I recently just heard from a certain bard of a bear who's, been, regaling tales with his, woodland minions. Hopefully they're not too suspicious to be around or anything at all, because, I'm not entirely sure I'm about, he's the only one that can communicate with them. Who knows what nefarious things they may be up to, but who could possibly not trust the woodland creatures? I'm sure they're fine, and they sound cute. Today, I am still too lazy to post one of my own stories, so instead, I'm gonna post a story told by one of my players in my current campaign. The me's and I's refer to him from here on out. The opening act. This story begins at the common root of many such stories, r/LFG. I thought all of the common root of many problems was the curse of Strahd, but I guess not all of these situations are commonly tied to Strahd. Oh well, I suppose he is kinda done with all of the crap he has to deal with from RPG horror stories. Me and my friend were looking for a campaign to join, and saw a pretty interesting post on the aforementioned sub. We found a DM who, together with 2 of his friends, was looking for 2 more players to join their campaign. Perfect! It was a military-based campaign where we would take part in a conflict between 2 superpowers during the high fantasy equivalent of the Age of Sail, and our ship would be leading an assault on the enemy island, the tip of the spear of our forces. It would be a serious enough campaign with combat, puzzles, and a deep and epic story. Based on the title, you might already feel the doubt creeping in, and indeed, as soon as you'll soon find out, it wouldn't exactly go as expected. The cast. Me. I was playing a rabbit folk rogue. Nothing too flashy, but with the help of the GM, I wrote a solid, interesting backstory that intertwined with the lore. I mean, a little bit of, self-confidence there, but, that's nothing too harmful. I mean, after all, someone like me is absolutely always trustworthy, just simply based on how gorgeous and amazing I am and my melodic voice. However, I will have to keep this in mind on the credibility as well. Collector. My friend was playing a barbarian who worked as a lone collector prior to joining this military campaign. He too put quite a bit of effort into the backstory and the character. Huh, a barbarian as a lone collector. That's an interesting combination there. Toaster, the first of DM's friends. He was playing a Warforged cleric in a world torn by conflict between epic powers. His character's motivation was to produce the perfect toast, and the instrument by which he'd fulfill his ambitions was a toaster on his ass. Yeah, I'm not even gonna touch that, but gross. Kakashi, the second friend of the DM. He played a ranger flavored as a ninja, which, as I look back on his story, was based on Kakashi Hatake, with many deep similarities. Very big weeb vibes coming off here. Now, I'm going to kinda stop and interject here. I do get the idea of flavoring your characters to be a lot like characters you see in media. I've had plenty of character ideas where they are actually based on characters I enjoy watching. For example, when I was first DMing a campaign, I literally tried to make a Druchii equivalent of Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender in a conflict between the High Elves and Dark Elves, which was based in the Warhammer universe. So, least to say, I had quite a few character inspirations from that. But it ended in a really fun climax where, basically, even though I tried to make Azula into a complete badass, every single one of her plans just ended up failing, and it ended up leading her to being sacrificed to Cain by the party, and that was hilarious. Anyway, moving on. The red flags. There were 2 major red flags before the first session even started. Lol. As we talked, we all found out we're League of Legends players. Oh hey, so am I! I'm normally kind of somebody who plays in the bottom, but I've been getting more into the top lane and maining as Illaoi because, oh gods, how can I possibly not like her? Hold on. I need to make a moment to make my impression. I do not do sermons. Broken bones teach better lessons. I hope I did that right, but anyways, moving on. And decided to play a match together. During that match, things were going poorly and Kakashi rage quit. Oh, I hate that. Yep, didn't even wait for a surrender to pass, just straight up rage quit. And on top of that, we could hear the sounds of a keyboard being smashed in the background and some angry German words we couldn't quite understand. Oh, I hate gamers like that. I seriously don't get the rage. I mean, in some ways I can get the rage quitting, but I never do it because that would just give me penalties I don't want to deal with. But the second one, I really don't understand. I don't know if you can necessarily tell, but I'm not the richest person, and I always get upset when I see some rage quitter just smashing their equipment to heaven who knows, and I just don't understand why you would do that. You're only making things worse for yourself and your wallet. And I just don't understand why you think that's appropriate or why you think it's worth just breaking your equipment just because you're so mad about how a match is going. A match you can do over getting a keyboard is going to take like, I don't know, $100 or something like that. That's too much money to spend. So why? Why would you do that? Anyway, pre-session chat. Just before the first session, we were talking about anime, and I made the joke, and this was very clearly a joke, that Boruto is trash, and that's a fact. Kakashi didn't take kindly to that. He got increasingly aggressive, and even as we tried to move on, hung on to that grudge. On to the first session. Ugh. The game. As we begin the game, we are on the military ship, preparing to set sail. For more than half of the whole session, Kakashi is intentionally hostile towards my character, speaking over him, disagreeing with him, and often saying that's a fact, hoping to annoy my character. I guess that Boruto joke really got to him. During this and the next session, Kakashi would throw a tantrum and or stop focusing on the game the moment things didn't go his way. On one occasion, the DM made an interesting puzzle. We were slowly solving it, but Kakashi lost patience and tried to rush through it. When he expectedly failed, he said, "Alright, I lie down and start dying," and starts rolling death saving throws even though the DM never asked for them. The DM caved in and gave us very straightforward clues that made the puzzle trivial. Despite Kakashi's antics, me and Collector did our best to try to roleplay and have our deep conversation about war, morality, and wait a second, let's switch to Toaster, pulling another toast out of his ass and offering it to us. Our will to engage any serious roleplay has exhausted itself, and we were already mentally noping out of this game. The epilogue. After the second session, I went to talk to DM in hopes he'd help us salvage this game since he cared about the serious, well-thought-out campaign he's created. Instead, before I could even talk to him, he announced he is stopping this campaign due to in-real-life issues. Oh well, the problem solved itself, right? Well, kind of. Only that he didn't kick me from Roll20, and after a while, when I opened that tab, I accidentally logged into that server to see he's been continuing this campaign with some other poor souls he managed to lure in. I, however, didn't say a word and just left, away from toasters and Naruto, and on to greener pastures. Ugh. Oh, now that is a huge mess there. I don't even know where to begin with this. Toaster obviously was not necessarily that huge of an issue in this. I mean, he probably was the one that was smashing his keyboard or whatever. Either that or that was all completely Kakashi. The OP didn't necessarily make that specific, but considering that they only heard the audio, I don't necessarily imagine he could have gotten information on which one was doing what. But I'm assuming maybe all of that was Kakashi. I don't really know how much Toaster may have impacted the story. I mean, obviously, there was the one and only moment to see where Toaster was being a problem, and that was literally interrupting a serious conversation of role-playing between two characters and just saying, "Haha, have a toast that came out of my ass." Which, I don't really think it needs to be something where you need to read the room in order to realize that that is definitely not something you do. When role-playing is going on, it's incredibly rude to interrupt what role-playing is happening, because a lot of the fun in D&D is having a good roleplay. Having a bit of comedy here and there is nice for a serious story, but the role-playing is what makes D&D so much fun. Having the connection between characters and having an understanding and being able to flesh out your character as well as other people's characters, that's the best thing about D&D. But to have that completely underpaid by having a joke that was very much just not needed and not necessary at all, that's just really rude. And oh, do I even need to say anything about Kakashi? To start off, like I said earlier, it's not a bad thing to make your character based off of another character that you really like. What's important is being able to find a way to make that character unique instead of literally just copying and pasting that character. Because again, this is about making your own character instead of just copying another one. Because not many people are really interested in just relearning the story of a character that they already know about. The fun is really just having a character that's all your own, and even if it's inspired by a different character, having them made in your own way is what makes it even more fun. Because, like for example, I actually made a character, like with my DM character, I have another character that is going to be in a current campaign, and, well, actually, this character was my first character. And I literally started out with making Sylvanas, or the Drow Ranger from Dota 2. But I ended up making Ulasatra Moonsworn to be her own unique character, and in a way a very devoted religious person who is fighting for the sake of the Night Mother and also on the run from her own noble house. So I really think that that kind of is something that could be kept in mind when it comes to character creation in general. But I think I spent too much time on that and should probably move on to the other problems, which I don't think I really need to spend much time on. Look, people are going to like different things, and people are going to dislike different things. And what's even more important is knowing when a joke is a joke. I mean, there's obviously the problem where somebody will just excuse whatever trashy thing they say and then just add, "Oh, well, it's just a joke, don't get too offended." But like, seriously, the OP was joking about whether Boruto was even a good anime or not, and I didn't really watch it and wasn't really interested in either Naruto or Boruto, so I guess that's something to piss off Kakashi. But I am not going to necessarily judge a person based on their likes or dislikes. And I didn't necessarily like the sequel trilogy for the Star Wars. I mean, it started off fine, and then, to me, it just kind of went worse and worse. but I am not judging people who like the sequels. Maybe. No, in all seriousness, your taste is your taste. I'm not gonna judge you as a person for your tastes in media. We all have our different opinions and our different likes and dislikes, so it's whatever. And now, basically, this guy's anger issues. The fact that he needs to win. The fact that not only does he need to earn this win, but he needs to absolutely stomp and steamroll in everything. He can't deal with any challenges or any difficult issues. He just has to have it. He has to have everything like a spoiled, entitled little brat. And he's not going to be waiting for dinner until he gets his treat. He wants his cookie and his ice cream, and he wants it now. So Kakashi is basically the epitome of an entitled, privileged, spoiled little shit. And I would like for this to be an example of what kind of person not to be. D&D is supposed to be a fun time between friends. It is not supposed to be a time where you're trying to look for revenge against a person who may have just slighted you or bitched their thumb at you, and now you must take revenge in the form of trying to, I don't know, ruin the experience for everyone, or maybe just straight up murder the character of the player that offended you. Sorry if you feel so offended about a little joke about an anime that you are obsessed with. Some people can really just be draining on you, and I think Kakashi is the epitome of draining. That, and the subject of the last RPG horror story. But with that, we're going to go ahead and end this RPG horror story, and that will be all. And until next time, I wish you a lovely journey back to your abode, and that I hope to see you again. Farewell, traveler.